Hi, good morning to all of you. Today's presentation is on biodiversity conservation. The term biodiversity was coined by Walter Rosen in 1985 and it defined as the richness in variety and variability of the species of all living organisms in a given region. And according to the US Office of the Technology Assessment, biodiversity may be defined as the variety and variability of living organisms and the ecological complexes in which they exist. For example, its importance in case of the biodiversity importance, it keeps the ecological significance and provides socio-economic and monetary assets to the nation. Human society depends on biological resources, their diversity, and ecosystem that sustain them to provide essential goods and services. Because of these importance, it have to conserve, and it gives much more meaning to the its conservation. There are two methods of biodiversity conservation. First one is in situ conservation and second one is ex situ conservation. In case of in situ conservation, the species are conserved in their natural habitats, and its example are national park, wildlife sanctuaries, and biosphere reserves. In case of the ex situ conservation, the species are conserved in their habit outside their natural habitats. For example, the zoos, nurseries, botanical gardens, gene banks, etc. There are some thrust areas we should keep in mind for the uh, carrying the research in the biodiversity conservation, particularly the it the create environmental awareness on conservation and biodiversity and eco development. Then encourage forest conservation and the use of forest products for self-employment. Then build embankments in the catchment area and to plant trees. So third one is biodiversity assessment and monitoring in case of the genetic diversity, species diversity, and ecosystem diversity. Then vegetation survey to assess biodiversity status and to identify rare and threatened as well as the endangered species. Then species introduction trials, for example the exotic species mostly introduced in our country. Then forest, it includes also the forest genetic resource management, how we manage the forest genetic resources. And now coming to the summary, biodiversity is the occurrence of different types of ecosystem, different species and organisms in a particular place. Then in situ and ex situ conservation are the two conservation methods, and the national park, wildlife sanctuary, and biosphere reserves are the examples of in situ conservation, while the zoo, nurseries, botanical gardens, gene banks are the examples of ex situ conservation. And we have to identify the trust areas for the biodiversity conservation for the upcoming research, carrying research and conducting research for the uh, improvement of the socio-economic status of the peoples. These are the references for that particular presentation.